Before we reposition the cameras, where would you like to touch me?
And exhale, sink, 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 sink. Good. Well done. Did you make a face?
Not good. I did make a face, yeah. It was more for the camera, because I was fine, really, just for the camera.
Off you go, open the arms. Good. Go, go, go. Go, go, go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
I'm not even having to touch them.
Yeah, that's a big difference. I'm in Hertfordshire today, and I'm going to allow a woman that I barely know to poke me with her fingers. It's something called the Emmett Technique, and no, I've never heard of it either. But it sounds pretty incredible, and it's a way to release muscles, release your nervous system, and make your body move better. And look, just stop a second and check it out. I mean, this is her back garden. What better, more relaxing space to have a chat about relaxing your muscles than here? Oh, and yes, at the end, I'm gonna let her poke me about a bit. Got to be done on camera, right? Tell me about what you were doing before Emmett and why it wasn't kind of pressing your buttons.
I wanted to be a Pilates teacher because I have a back condition called spondylolisthesis, which is a step in the lower spine. It wasn't until I was 18 that I went to see an osteopath and got diagnosed. And then I was like, that's what's wrong. So what happened was the osteopath recommended that I do Pilates. Pilates absolutely changed my life because I believed that going to bed was painful because it had always been painful for me to go to bed. So when I realised that I could go to bed and it didn't have to be painful to get comfortable and fall asleep, then I was like, I need to now not do what I'm doing, and I now need to train as a Pilates teacher so I can help people who are struggling the same way that I struggled to not have to be in that pain anymore. And then from being a Pilates teacher, a fellow Pilates teacher actually was Emmett qualified, and she said to me, this is going to go down a treat with you, you're going to love this. So
what were your thought processes before you started sort of delving into the Emmett Technique, which we'll talk about in a bit? Because I know we had a conversation before and you said that you were doing Pilates, but you weren't quite feeling it was giving you what you wanted and what you wanted to teach people.
Yeah, there was a gap. There was something that wasn't quite right. You know, it was just, this is your physical body. These are the exercises and moves that you need to do for this part of your body, for this reason, and that's it. And it just, you know, for the first 5 years of teaching, I was like, there's something missing. I can't put my finger on it, but it just seems so, this is not the whole story. And so I kind of delved into that and kind of started to explore a little bit more. And actually it wasn't until my friend came with Emmett and I started to do work with Emmett, which works on the nervous system, and it kind of regulates the muscles to behave differently. It doesn't actually change the biomechanics of the body so much as changes the nervous system's way of utilising them.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so that's how it kind of came around. But there was definitely something missing that I knew needed to be filled.
A lot of exercise, especially if you're a personal trainer or you're doing exercise in the gym, it can almost be, here's the exercise for the problem rather than what's the problem, let's find the exercise that fits it. Do you know what I mean? It almost seems like it's a bit backward thinking.
Well, it's very generic, isn't it? Because it's very much like, okay, so you've got a bad knee, do some exercises to strengthen your quads. But how do we know the quad's the problem? You know, looking at the chain reaction of the body, especially with fascia, like it's not even a muscle necessarily, you know, that's the problem. Sometimes it can be the fascia. And the fact that you've got, I remember doing a course to learn about fascia and knowing that the fascia that is in the foot connects all the way up through the hip, through the shoulder and into the tongue. So, which means that any neck problems could come from the feet.
Talk a little bit about fascia for those who don't know, understand
so
what it means.
Fascia being the connective tissue that connects everything together, basically. And, you know, I mean, I don't know the actual statistics, but I know that if you can take the body apart, that, you know, it can go on and on and on and on. And so, you know, we have to take into consideration that there could be fascia tightness, there could be nerve tightness, there could be all sorts of stuff going on, not just muscular base. So then starting to learn all of that made me go, well, hold on then, how do we know this is the problem? How do we know that now is irrelevant, that a quad exercise is going to help the knee, because we don't know why the knee is like that in the first place. Let's have another look around. And this is where I then started to move into like the whole person perspective. because it just didn't make sense to me. You know, we're not just a physical being, we're an energetic being, we carry emotions, we're emotional beings, there's got to be other stuff to it. So that's where I started to just drift off a little bit based, you know.
Yeah, so you're training the whole body rather than parts of the body, training compound rather than isolation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you look at human movement, especially like something simple like throwing a ball, that doesn't just come from your shoulder, it comes from your back, you're supporting yourself with your glute muscles, your legs, you know, that's a whole body movement. And also running, especially, you know, if you're doing it in the kind of shoes that we've got on, the feedback and the way you move all starts from the ground all the way up. And it's been proven that there are developmental changes through your entire body right the way up to your neck that make us good runners. And it's not just, like you say, it's not hip, it's not a knee, it's not foot.
No.
So you were talking about the nervous system a while ago. So for you, putting things like these on your feet is really important because of the feedback.
Well, the proprioception, this is what I have to work on with clients mostly to start with, actually, is proprioception, because especially in the modern world where we're sat at desks, we're living from here upwards. So the awareness and understanding of the body is not very developed, and we're not taught it in school. We're not taught, you know, here we are, we're gifted this body on birth. Oh, now off you go. It's like trying to build a IKEA bit of furniture without the instructions.
We've all done that.
and it's like, here's your body, good luck.
Yeah.
And so then we you know, we do all these different habitual things that we do, you know, sportsmen I've worked with, cricketers I've worked with, you know, very one-sided, or, and then you don't end up, you know, there's no proprioception. So if you're sat at a desk all the time, you know, all these habits just get you into this body that then you just don't know why it's going wrong. You don't know what is it that you've done, what repetitive actions have you done. And it can be as simple as where you choose to put your kettle. You know, when we're babies, we roll over for the first time. And it's basically been said that when you roll over for the first time, whatever way you roll first as a baby is going to be your natural rotation.
Oh, that's
direction.
interesting.
So then what you see is when you see your kitchen or your house layout, you will naturally have placed things to facilitate that, which is why when you speak to people and look at their rotation, you can guarantee there's one rotational direction is going to be much more fluid and fluent than the other for that particular reason. Is that a problem? Absolutely not, unless it's causing an issue, unless the body is saying something. But then even is that the issue? It could be that there's something else that could be like tied in with, like we're talking about. So then we have to, again, look at the whole person. We can't just assume where the pain is where the problem is.
Let's talk about human movement for a minute. And let's delve into maybe walking or running.
Yeah.
What's physically going on in the body? Because I know we talked before about everything being connected.
Yeah.
And it's not just, you're not just using your legs.
Yeah.
So what's actually physically going on when you move?
If you haven't got the feet working properly, first of all, you know, you've got to have, you know, the big toes, you've got to have that joint active and mobile. And do you know how many people don't have that? At least 90% of the people I see of a 50 plus age group have no movement in the joint of their big toe.
So pause for a second, because that's really important.
Yeah.
Because obviously these are made with toe pockets for a reason, so your toes can actually move.
Yeah.
But I know from the 15 years or so I've been wearing these and teaching people how to move in these, when they put them on for the first time, it's almost a physical impossibility because they can't move their toes. So what's going on there? Why have we forgotten to use our toes?
Well, because shoes, modern shoes, and again, back to this, we live from here upwards, so we don't know what's going on. We've got the thick soles that don't give us any feedback from the floor. You know, we're not wanting to feel anything that's remotely uncomfortable under our feet. Orthotics have been introduced to really help with the pain. Great, lovely, gets rid of the pain, but doesn't teach the body anything. So we've got so many different things that are happening. And they just don't communicate with the feet because they don't realise that they have the feet. And I personally always work with people, no matter what's going on in their body, from the feet upwards. Like, let's start with the feet, because this is where the root of it comes. And there's a whole chain that comes all the way up through the body, all the way up through the hips, all the way up through the torso, all the way out through the crown of the head. And I use an analogy quite nicely about football, as much as I'm not a football fan, but I use the analogy of the goalkeeper and the defence. And I always say, you know, if the defence is really good, the goalkeeper shouldn't have that much of a big job to do.
Yeah.
And this is the same when we're talking about the feet, the ankles, the knees, the legs coming up into the pelvis, supporting the back. If the legs are doing their job from the floor up, then the back shouldn't have that much work to do unless you're specifically doing something that requires for the back to work. But if all the defence aren't doing their job, then you're going to have problems from the pelvis upwards. So it's getting people aware from their, you know, pelvis downwards. I had one lady ask me once, what's my pelvis? And she was about 70, and I was like, oh my gosh. Bless her.
Bless her. But we were talking about the nervous system earlier on, and obviously the more connectivity you have with the ground,
yes,
the more all those nerves down there can actually send some information to the rest of your body.
All the different parts of your body.
And maybe that's part of the problem with having thicker soles, is you're almost desensitizing your whole nervous system, aren't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got no feedback whatsoever. You've got no feedback, you've not got no ability to spread the toes if the toe box is really small. And therefore all the muscles and the parts of the body above it are just gonna struggle as a result of that.
Quite possibly one of the worst inventions man ever made.
Chair.
Yeah.
The chair.
The chair.
Oh my gosh, the chair.
I mean, I was apart from shoes. Let's talk about chairs.
Yeah.
And what kind of a mess they've made to our bodies.
Yeah. This is what I've come across in research, is that it takes about 20 minutes for a muscle to believe that that is the length you want it to be based on where you choose to put your skeleton.
Interesting.
So if you're sitting at a right angle at the hip joint for more than 20 minutes without moving, your hip flexor muscle, so the muscle that lifts your leg up and down, says, oh, that's where Paul wants to live forever. He's going to stay in this position forever. Fabulous. We'll start knitting ourselves to accommodate that. The glutes on the other side are going to go, great, this is where Paul wants to be forever. Oh, we're just going to stay in this shape. We're not going to have any activation. We're just going to let ourselves mold into this shape. Lo and behold, when you go to stand up, there's that, to open up the hips.
Yes.
That's why. So anytime you notice that, that's why, because your body has sat there for too long. So yes, do we need to use chairs? You know, they are going to have to be handy in some way, shape or form. We're sitting on chairs right now.
Yep.
Are there different variations of chairs? Yeah, absolutely. Some brilliant ones, the standing ones, the sitting ones, the ones where your feet, legs tucked behind you so the hip joints can be open.
I've got one of those on my desk.
Fabulous, love those. So there is so many options. But again, if you're working with the person who is only living from here upwards, they have absolutely no idea what's going on below. So therefore, when the hip flexor gets tight, those hips attach to the low back, it's going to pull onto that low back, and then suddenly you're going to get the low back pain. So, you know, again, the hips are a really vital part of our function. We need to be moving, and we need to be moving every half an hour if we can.
Right. Emmett Technique.
Yes.
First off, tell me about the story behind it, because it wasn't meant for human beings, was it?
Well, no, dogs, I believe he started on.
Right.
And
so who's the guy?
So Ross Emmett.
Ross Emmett,
Australian guy.
What's his background?
He is, gosh, he did loads. This didn't derive from any kind of scientific discovery of how the body moves. This just came from his kind of intuitive understanding of the body, of the muscles, and the nervous system and how they correlate with each other. And so I think it's like the late 20th century, so, you know, early 2000s, he was working on, I believe he was working on somebody's dog, and the owner was like, well, I've got quite a dodgy shoulder, could you help me with that? And he said, I guess. And he did, and he did, and it worked. And I think at that point then he was like, well, let's, but at no point did he want to make this a worldwide thing. I think he was just very much, I just want to help people. And I think that when he was working in the mines, I think he did a lot of work with the miners as well.
So it comes from a good place, because it doesn't come from a commercial gain sort of perspective or anything. It's just
not.
This is something I've found out and I've practiced on and it works. And if you want to use it, go ahead.
And it's nervous system based work.
So talk to me about how it works and what's the principle.
So let's use another analogy. If you think about a handbrake in a car.
Yeah.
And if you've left the handbrake on a little bit, then your engine is really going to struggle. In the car, and you're going to hear that and you're going to feel it, and it's not going to work properly. If you then let go of that handbrake, the engine's going to work optimally. This is the same kind of thing. So when you're working with the Emmett points, then the nervous system is getting instructed to relax, and therefore as a result of that, then the biomechanical parts of the body, the muscles, the joints are all going to start to be affected by that. So rather than it being an actual muscular thing, it's more of a neurological thing that affects as a byproduct, if that makes sense.
Okay, so the nervous system is telling the muscle to tense.
Yes.
And the muscle tenses, and then eventually then the neighbours start to tense, and off down the chain it goes.
So it's not really, and the struggle I think is because it's not, and I think we were talking about this earlier about why is it not in the mainstream, because it's not like a biomechanical proven kind of, how would I look at it? You know, it's not something that's been derived in science.
Right.
It hasn't come from, oh, well, we've got this, so then we can do, it's come from a different space. And it doesn't have, you don't go and do a master's in it, and you don't go to university, or, it is basically just homegrown, and it's homegrown, and then the trainings come from Ross training people here, and then they train other people, and it's almost like a word of mouth.
Yeah.
As opposed to I'm signing up and paying thousands of pounds to do this really big qualification. It is a qualification in itself because it's worked and it's proven to work, but it's different.
Yeah, it's difference between. That's why you don't see. You see osteopaths on every high street, but you don't see an Emmett technician on a high street.
Yeah. You will find us hanging out in corners, doing our magic finger thing, which is what everyone calls it. Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's some jokes that come out of it.
Yeah, I'll bet.
The Emmett finger is the middle finger, so there is definitely jokes.
So what are you physically doing then? You literally are just poking people?
Yeah. So there's different ways of doing it. You always use the centre finger. So the centre finger is the Emmett finger. Probably because if you think about the energy coming through the body, you've got quite a nice straight line coming from there. And then you've got holding points, you've got switching points. So some of the points you go across the muscle, some of the points you find you just hold. And what I feel as a practitioner is I can feel the nervous system, the point the nervous system says, oh, okay, I'm safe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you can literally, with your finger, you can feel the point where it releases.
You can feel it. Sometimes, but you can equally feel the nervous system having a party as well.
Yeah.
Or you could, or buzzing, or dysregulated. So
oh, wow.
Sometimes I can place a finger onto a point, and it's like, and I will say, I have said in the past, wow, it's like a party under here, because it is. It's just like you can feel it.
Yeah, and I'm guessing as well that you don't necessarily go to the cause of the problem. You find the origin.
Well, yeah. Like a really good example that I work with quite a lot, and actually it happened to me, which was really interesting. I had a car crash 10 years or so ago, and as a result, I couldn't lift my arm, and I went to a physio numerous times to try and get this arm lifted up. No, couldn't do it. I had so much pain in my shoulder joint. Anyway, and he was treating this shoulder. I went to my Pilates class, and one of the people there she'd qualified in Reiki. I'd never heard of Reiki at the time. And she said, I think I know what your problem is. Can I have a go on your body? And I said, sure. So she did some Reiki on my body, but she worked on my shoulder blade. And she worked from my shoulder blade and the path up the back of my neck and into my head.
Okay.
And didn't go anywhere near my shoulder, but to the shoulder girdle. And she did that, and she said, right, just take a breath. And I was a bit like, okay, I couldn't feel anything happening. She didn't even have her hands on me. And she took her hands up to the back of my head, and then all of a sudden, this just pain in my head, down my neck, into my shoulder blade, just excruciating pain. And she was just like, breathe through it, breathe through it, breathe through it. And then it just went. and it was gone. And then she said, now try and lift your arm. And I just went, poof, almost knocked myself out. And I was like, oh, you need to tell me what you've just done because I need to do this now. So that's when I went ahead and did my Reiki training as well, which I don't use as much because actually Emmett has come in and I kind of lean towards Emmett more than I lean towards Reiki. But saying that, some clients, Reiki does come through as well when I'm working. But it made me say, but she didn't even touch my shoulder. She worked on my shoulder blade. And actually when I looked into it, the arm lifts to here from the shoulder joint, but when you go higher than that, the shoulder girdle has to move.
Yes.
You have to have the flow of the shoulder blades, the scapula's on the upper rib cage.
Yeah.
If your shoulder blade is stuck, you cannot get your arm above here. And where are you going to feel the pain? At the point where the arm is trying to lift, but it's being pulled back the other way by the tightness. So
this isn't the problem, this is just overworking because the problem's here.
So we work on rhomboids, traps
Yeah.
to get the arm to not hurt here.
Before we reposition the cameras, where would you like to touch me?
Where is tight?
Well, my pecs are tight.
Oh, lovely.
I know
the pec one's the best.
Oh,
Let's do pec.
good. We went straight for the pecs.
Straight for the money
shot.
Oh my God, it's
okay.
the best. You always get a great result with the
Okay,
pecs.
well, we can probably do it. Can we do it in this position?
No.
I'm ready for you to lay your fingers on me.
Fabulous. Right, so pecs are tight.
Yes.
So we're going to do a test first to see just how tight your pecs are.
All right.
So I want you to bring your arms out in front of you with the palms together, slightly lower than shoulder height. And then you're going to open your arms out to the side. And I want you to see how far can you go without projecting your neck forward. So I want you to try and keep alignment if you can. And just take those arms out to the side and go as far out as you can until you feel that you have to compensate from somewhere else. Good. In fact, come forward. Let's shuffle you forward on because I feel like that chair's going to get in the way. Just shuffle forward a little bit more.
Should we do that again?
Yeah, let's do it again.
All right.
All right. So you're going to open the arms as far as you can, but you're going to keep that alignment. You can do it quicker than that. That's fine. But let's have a look and see how much. Right. No elbow bend. Right. Right. Can you feel like you're now starting to elevate here and you're tight across here?
I'm starting to feel that in my fingers. I know why that is, but...
Is it the nerves?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Cool. All right, so you can pretty much feel, this one's a little bit more mobile. Okay, so relax that through. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 on each side, and then we're going to have a little go again and just see how that feels,
okay.
All right? So you've got to do absolutely nothing. You might feel nothing. You might feel something. Oh, they are tight. Breath in. Take a nice deep breath in for me. Breathe out. You're going to relax. Let my thumb sink in. You're going to relax. Let your spine bend. Let your spine bend. Let your spine bend.
Ooh.
Well done. Good. And straighten up. Nice.
That was a poke, by the way.
That was a poke. This is these ones are switches.
We'll keep going. I don't need to move the camera.
Take a breath in. Exhale. Now melt over my thumb. Melt, 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 melt. Oh, these are so tight. My goodness me. Straighten up. Good.
Glad I came.
Woof. So this is not a party under the finger move. This is more of a good breathing in.
Same again?
Yep. Exhale and sink for me. Sink, 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 sink. Oh, I don't think I'm in the right place. Sit up.
So let me just explain for the camera.
Yeah.
Hayley is, I mean, I don't know how, I mean, it feels like you're putting a lot of pressure on me, but you've said that my pec muscles are quite tight.
They're tight, yeah.
So and that's because and so you are putting a lot of pressure on my pec because it's tight,
yes.
Or does it just feel tight?
It's tight.
Okay.
Yeah, we could tell from the movement you didn't have a lot of extension.
Right, okay.
Okay. Breath in and exhale. Sink, 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 sink. Good. Well done. Did you make a face?
Not good. I did make a face, yeah. It was more for the camera because I was fine, really, just for the camera.
Good. All right, breath in. Exhale. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Yeah, lovely, good. All right. All right, lovely. Bring your arms up in front of you, a little bit lower than shoulder height. Make sure your elbows stay straight. Off you go. Open the arms. Good. Go, go, go. Go, go, go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well. Yeah.
I'm not even having to touch them.
Yeah, that's a big difference. Yeah.
So we're still short on this one, though.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah, not coming back as far. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to this one and just do 3 more on this one to see if we can level it up with that one.
Okay.
The nice thing about Emmett is that Emmett works for 72 hours after we've done the treatment. So we'll get the result today, but then your body is processing it for the next 3 days. So you might find that you get even more range. You might find that you get feedback from other parts of the body, because the body is now triggered into, the nervous system is now triggered to start to communicate with everything that's related to this. So it could be that suddenly your hips feel a little bit looser because we've released out through this, we were talking about the fascia
what you were saying earlier on about the neck and the shoulder, and if you release the neck and then, we've got problems down here now.
You could get other stuff going on, stuff that comes up, or stuff that feels better.
Yeah.
Because we've released that, it's released the chain of everything else, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's almost like doing plumbing, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty
much. You've got a blockage. On the surface, it seems like quite a simple thing.
Yeah.
But I can certainly see how that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I guess part of your problem is people might not necessarily think they've got a problem. I mean, I know my pecs are tight because I've been doing lots of chest work.
Yeah.
And I'm very body aware. But someone perhaps who sits in a desk all day, or maybe even worse, sits in a desk all day and looks at a laptop when they're doing that, they might not realise that their pecs are tight because it's something that's happened over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
So what do you think you would advise people to do to kind of get a better understanding of their body and then find where their problems might lie, or find what's not functioning as well as it should be? It's quite a big question.
It's a really hard question, because pain is usually for people that are unconscious and possibly not self-prioritising is the dominating factor. They need to be in pain first before they do anything about it. That tends to be, I like to work in prevention, but not many people will come to me for prevention. Won't come to me and say, hey, my body feels great, but can you help me keep it that way?
Yes.
They will always come to me and say, ouch, 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 ouch. So I don't know the answer to that question.
I wonder if it's sometimes people being more aware of their habits.
Just being more aware of themselves, spending a bit more time with themselves, less time on socials, less time on devices, it's really a really tough...
Less time, more time outside.
More time outside, like nature. I mean, I have a son and he can get into his head a lot, and when he's in his head and he's emotional, I'm like, you know where to go, and he just goes to sit outside, and within 5 minutes he is back to normal. Because it just regulates. We are nature, and it regulates us, and we come out here and we remember who we are because we're not being sucked into this world that is taking us, telling us that we should be something different or something more.
Where's a good place to go if people want to kind of delve into Emmett a little bit more, or maybe even get poked by you?
Yeah, poked by me. Fabulous. Well, obviously the website, Emmett website, and then I don't know the actual website. I'm not sure, but would you be able to? Emmett Cote.
It'll be on screen right now.
There somewhere. And then on there, I think you can then search your area and see if there's any practitioners in your area. Great. I believe. I'm based in Ealing at a place called Bridge to Health, which is an osteopath's clinic. So if you wanted to come and see me, then that's where I am. And again, I don't know whether you can add on any links or anything to that. So,
yeah, it's a link on the screen right now.
But yeah.
Okay, fab.